ceremonial.
You have a gavel. Yes. You're welcome. Good luck.
We can count that in the goals.
Maybe hire a live band next year.
Right. Okay, item B on page 2, audit committee, the monthly bank reconciliation report, Mr. Semmelone is diligently looking at the moment, maybe?
No, I have already seen them. Carol sent
Okay.
it to me, everything looks in order.
Everything's in order, okay. Okay, Fulton County Center for Regional Growth Report, Ron Peters is here today. Thank you, Ron, for attending. Greatly appreciated.
Thank you, Scott.
And the CRG report is attached in your agenda.
Congratulations, Sue.
Thank you.
And if you could help out, let us know.
Absolutely.
Okay, I'm sure you'll have a chance to go over it and study it and read it and understand what's going on, but it's the Senate report.
I
Our
remember.
2024 micro enterprise grant is nearly complete. We should be in a position to apply for another grant at the end of this quarter, if not for our next quarter. We've had our meetings and the money's flowing pretty well. And we're getting ready to look at a presentation to this year at the evening meeting about the micro enterprise grant, where we stand and all the applications that we've had. So far to date, we've that's with a little over 100 applications, or a little over 100 grants were awarded. So that's been a good program for the county, a good program for us, handling the process from day one with every applicant. It's a time-consuming process. And Joe, thanks for being on the committee. I know that you do a lot of time with that, and you spend a lot of time analyzing the reports and the grants. Thank you.
Oh, it's a great program.
We received no RFPs since the last month, and we've not heard back on any of our 2024 submissions, which is par for the course with New York State. We as a group at the New York State Economic Development Council got together and said, with the state, we've got to hear more. Everybody worked hard on responding to the RFPs. We get nothing back. Their response is, pretty much what we thought. A lot of times they don't get responses back from their consultants as well, the site consultants. And they might come in and say, hey, I'm looking for a property in Northeast. Everybody gets it. And they do not respond back to the states. Even if they made a selection, it's real difficult getting information on the stats of the RFPs and what they're lacking and what they contain. That's a continual process. We're one of the CRG is one of the presenters who asked to make a presentation at the New York State Association of Training and Employment Professionals, NITAP, which we did at their last annual meeting. It was a good process. It was not bragging, but it happened to be one of the best presentations they had. It was a good presentation on workforce development. Looking forward to working at NITAP on all their programs. It's the leading New York State workforce development nonprofit. For engineering services at the Johnstown Commerce Park are moving forward as scheduled. We'll be having a report coming out in a presentation probably within the next 30 days. So I'm pretty excited about that. That's going forward in a real positive way. Along those lines, we did apply for an additional fasting or grant supplement ongoing process. That's in the state right now at ESD. And we're tweaking some questions they had. So we're going forward with that second grant application as well too. As you know, you get $500,000. That's the max we get for a project in New York State. First of all, $60,000 and change. Now we're up for $430,000 and change to bring that, fill that gap with more additional work that we can do on the site to enhance and take loans out of the site. Which is going to be for any site selectors looking at positioning the site for a particular use. We put out our RFP for engineering consultants for our EPA $500,000 EPA grant. We had 5 come in. We're in the process of reviewing those 5 right now. We'll make our selection. Well, actually, we made our selection this morning. It's not public yet, and we're going to notify the winner and the 4 that we did not choose about selection. I think we're going to keep you up to date. It's really odd. It's called Naked Surprise Grant application for the Department of Energy. We're partnering up with 4 other groups: the Fulton County IDA, MBED, North Valley Edge, And excuse me, the advanced manufacturing operation in Mohawk College. And believe it or not, they awarded us $100,000 grant, the second round. So now I have to look at the application, look at the rules and see how we can spend that money. You know, we threw the dice and now we're gonna go for the grant prize to $40 million. So we hit round one for 30. I'm sorry, 50,000, one out of 30 groups that got it in the United States. We hit round two for $100,000, one out of, I think, 12 groups in the United States. So we're gonna go for the next round. Now, hopefully, it's gonna be for advanced manufacturing that look at kind of energy production, maybe solar, some kind of solar manufacturing operation, something like that. But an energy produce a group that does not produce energy. So we're not sure we're gonna do that. I've got some ideas about bringing maybe use it in Fulton County, bring someone in Fulton County to do some kind of advanced manufacturing or some kind of parts distribution for solar farms. I mean, right now, some of our manufacturing and the industrial parts, but now we can want to CEG and look at them as a producer of parts for the solar manufacturing right out from the port. So we'll look at that round and see what we can do with that $100,000. Hopefully it'll be successful on $250,000. Like I said, it was just a fluky thing. We threw the dice and we won twice so far. Yeah,
Congratulations.
don't believe it. And the 7th and 8th category, just the downtown development specialist. We're working through capital stacking on all the projects. Each project has its own individual nuances and problems and issues. Like a handling process on all the capital stacking for anyone to be the right problem there. I'm gonna run a limb here and say we have probably 5 that'll be breaking ground this spring. That's really good. The GRIP program, which is the loan or the grant program out of the DRI, that has 24 individual requirements put out by the state for each one of those small insignificant grants. So we deal with the mom and pops or small business owners. We have a hard time meeting those 24 individual requirements. So we're taking them through on a case by case, holding hand, going through each one of the process. Very, very difficult. Right down from, gotta do phase one of most of the projects for a $25,000 grant. Crazy, but that's state requirement. So it's a hard project. DDS is working very hard. I mean, we got the BOA down in Gloversville. We got the LWRP. That's all going to be very helpful. We're applying for grant money. We'll be able to attract more points and a point system with our CFAs. That's all I have. Any questions? Dave?
On the DRI stuff,
Yeah.
with the difficulty of working with an experienced property owners,
Mhm.
developers such, as you've explained, trying to get the capital stacking in place. Given the difficulty of that, are you seeing participants backing out of the opportunity to do the work? Is it creating a hurdle to fulfilling the DRI obligation?
They're not backing out yet. It may come to a point in time we might encourage them to move aside.
Hmm.
We looked at a couple of projects that the owner might want to sell, move on,
Okay.
bring a developer in.
Uh-huh.
So far, the state has been pretty good with accepting and listening to maybe shifting the DRI funding of a project to a different project.
Mm-hmm.
So we're open to that right now because we have a lot of difficulty with the other communities as well too.
Mhm.
Everybody's in the same exact boat.
Mhm.
The money is not getting out fast enough for DRI projects in New York State.
Gotcha.
So they're being somewhat flexible when it comes to maybe reallocating certain amounts of the DRI funding at each project.
So how much was readiness factored into DRI award? I mean, I know that's a big
Readiness?
thing now with CFA.
Not very, very little.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But, you know, it's hard. I think they have to say that there's not a lot of readiness into the project. We didn't know what you had, and we had to go through a public hearing process. There were 15 people on the committee, maybe more. Everybody had input. Everybody had projects they want to work on. People were submitting all kinds of projects. There were at least 3 public hearings where the community actually picked out projects and put a little sticker on the ones that they wanted to see successful. And we're right now. Because of the process itself, perhaps. Joe?
This comment, because got to see you at lunchtime, Ron did a very good presentation for the Rotary Club, the Holiday Inn. And one of the comments you said with the DRI was that we were awarded in 2022, but we were still a bit further ahead.
Oh,
You've had
definitely.
comments of them people that had 2019, 2020 awards, whereas COVID hit there, but at least you did say that.
Thank you, Joe. Yeah,
We're ahead of it.
that's come from the state itself. And the state has said that we are ahead of some of the communities who have been waiting a couple of years in front of us, before us. It's just a tough process.
Moving forward.
Yeah, but we're getting there. That's it. So
Thank you.
you all.
Thank you, Ron.
All right, well, we're due to receive a county liaison, but we do have Mr. Stead here. Any county reports, Mr. Stead, or?
You didn't tell me.
Yeah, well, always good at bringing bad living, we're good.
PowerPoint. We're just getting off the ground, obviously, at the county level. We've completed our reorganizations. We have a new board member who's chairman, I should say, from the board, who's kind of going to bring, I think, a different perspective. He's got an agricultural background, Jared Goddery. And so he'll bring in kind of a different, he's already looking, this morning, he was asking us some questions about wetlands, New York State DEC wetland changes and things like that. So I think he's going to bring an agricultural and a forestation type background into kind of asking questions and how he approaches the job and the way he looks at it. But I think more importantly, maybe just a small business owner, 3 or 4 or 5 employees. And it'd be interesting to see how that goes. Vice chairman is Joe DiGiacomo, another small business owner that's made a pretty good career of building up a small business on his own and building it into a much larger business. So we've got 2 business people, I guess, that ask questions much more maybe like you folks do when we get to issues. So it'll be a little different maybe than some years. And but we're just getting going. We'll have our committee system starting at the end of the month, and Scott will be reporting there. And I would encourage anybody, if you had a spare afternoon, Scott can fill you in on the date and time, but Ron and Ken will be providing more of a comprehensive overview of how micro and we're on what floor?
Yeah.
Micro enterprise and
No,
CARES in the middle. I don't know if that.
County cares too.
So the micro enterprise program, which in some ways is one of the biggest benefits, I think, is just generating an infusion of cash through the economy in some ways. Some of them are successful, some are not. Some are startups, some are continuing businesses that have been reinforced with micro enterprise. But he's going to give, we've asked him to do kind of a comprehensive start to finish type overview of all the programs. 3 have finished and we got 1 close to, as Ron reported, close. So that I think will be a very interesting meeting. If anybody had a spare moment, wanted to attend that and watch that presentation, I think it'd be enlightening as to how that micro enterprise actually has played out.
Because I've been part of it, I've seen all this money flow into small business and everything. And again, Ron brought up the point that it's just good that they might be small businesses, but some of them have grown to 15 people hired.
Yes.
Some are stay at 1 or 2. I mean, some, yes, have not succeeded, but very small. You know, I've seen the chart that shows right from the very beginning to the very end. Most have been successful. The ones that we choose, we look for worthiness and we want them to be successful and last the 5 years, hopefully, or longer. And so far, it's worked out to be a very good program.
So what people may not understand is that if they don't know how they basically run a program. You've got the jobs you create at the 51% low mod income. The applicant can be low mod income themselves. 51% of the jobs have to be low mod income. That's why it's not really an ESD project. So sometimes, you know, it's a job creating project through the HCR, which is a housing division of New York State. So it's kind of confusing to some folks. They say, well, it's a business program. It's not. Try and create a low income job. That's the main focus of the program.
of that very nature, it makes it challenging. Because the owner of the business has limited, sometimes on the startups, they have limited, if any, type of business experience. So, everybody thinks, my family came from running a small, I grew up, small business, lumber business and so forth with my family. And, everybody wants to be the owner of a business and run their own business until they actually catch the school bus. Once you realize what it really takes, everybody says, well, I want to sit home, I want to have more time off and everything, so I want to run the business that I've been working at for years. And then they find, it really doesn't work that way, so.
How does that work
That's
out,
the
Joe?
experience when we review applications and
40 years of bliss.
so when we review,
No headaches.
the drawdowns and things at the board office, for example, the chairman and I often are commenting about, types of businesses that are coming and what ones are successful and what ones have a chance of being successful and stuff. But it's a challenge, but a lot of them.
I may have missed it. Did you say when that presentation was?
I knew you were gonna test me, but nobody told me I was gonna be, is it 29?
Yeah.
Okay, Wednesday, it's a Wednesday and it's at 1:00. It must be, it's either 29th or
It's the
28th.
Committee week.
At the committee meeting?
Yeah.
Okay.
Meeting.
I got it. It's at the committee meeting. Okay.
Yeah.
Wednesday the 29th.
Day before finance. All right, moving on, under old business, Nexus Renewables, not much to, report here. Other than they are waiting on the sidelines for the town of Johnstown moratorium to expire. I will note that, the town of Johnstown is possibly considering an extension to that. And we just so happen to have, code enforcement officer, Jeff Parrish here, that, you have anything to comment on the moratorium?
Yeah, we're getting very, very close. The deadline was in February. The language is just about there and we're getting ready to send it off to the attorneys to finalize everything. So they're getting very close to coming to an end. So it's very close.
Do you anticipate the town extending the moratorium again, or do you think you're gonna meet the milestone?
I'm not part of that board, so I can't give you that decision as far as where they're at, but the language that I got from few of the people is they're very close and they're just getting ready to send it to the attorney. My consideration out of that is, it's gotta go before the public hearing. So we gotta have time for that also when it gets there. So just give you guys a heads up on that, but they're very close.
Okay. Crossroads Park Housing, Howard Hamm continues to market the 26 acres for housing. Have not heard anything, any new leads other than the ones that we've discussed in the past. Or anything new on that. Under the new business, 2025 committee appointments, per the bylaws, the chairman shall annually appoint members to the IDA's committees. You will see in the agenda, the slate of appointments that Sue has indicated. So in the audit committee, we have Greg, Mr. Semyon, Mr. Fitzgerald, and Sue. Governance, Joe Semyon, Greg, and Dan Rounds. And finance, Joe Gillis, Dan Rounds, and Mike Fitzgerald. And nominating, Mike Fitzgerald, Joe Gillis, Sue, and Greg. Okay, item B, to the staff appointments. Every year you are required to appoint an executive director, a chief financial officer, and an auditor. So the first motion is to appoint an executive director. And it is to appoint Scott Hensley to serve as the IDA's executive director for 2025 at a salary of $25,500 a year, which was set by the governance committee earlier or at the end of last year.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Appointment of the CFO.
Was is that what Jim has done for us over the many, many years. Thank you, Jim.
Yes, thank you. Appointment of the CFO, motion to appoint Carol Ellis as the chief financial officer for 2025 at a salary of $8,150. Would somebody like to make that motion?
That motion,
Joe,
I'll second.
Mike,
Pace myself.
any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Appointment of the auditor, is recommended the IDA continue to retain Weston Company as the IDA's auditor. A total fee of $10,000 has been budgeted in the 2025 budget. $9,500 is for the IDA's 2024 financial statements and payroll services for $500. My understanding is that we will again have Amy Pedrick continue to be the lead auditor for the IDA. I believe for another 3 years.
5 years.
Every 5 years. So would somebody like to make that a motion?
I'll make that.
Mike or Dave? Second,
I'll second.
Mike. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carried. Legal services, Mr. Semion's favorite part of the agenda, every annual meeting.
Carries too.
I recommend that you continue to retain Fitzgerald Morris Baker Firth as the IDA counsel for 2025 with a budget of $9,000. Would somebody like to make that motion?
I would love to make that motion.
Joe? Okay.
Continue the
Second.
wonderful services.
Thank you. I thought there'd be more discussion.
Yeah,
Well, Steve in the mix.
so, chance here. Would somebody like to second
I'll
that
second.
motion? Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
I should have coffee allowance in there.
Yeah, she could bring everybody Dunkin' Donuts coffee at the meeting, but. Consultant services, as we've discussed, it's recommended that the IDA still retain Mr. Mraz as a consultant in 2025 as we work through this transition. You had budgeted $5,000 in your budget, and the motion is authorized chairman to execute that agreement.
I'll make a motion.
Sue, is there a second?
Second.
Joe, any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carried. Depositories of IDA's funds per your investment policy. It's recommended that MBT Bank, Citizens Bank, Community Bank, and Key Bank all be designated as eligible depositories of IDA funds. Motion is to designate said banks. Mike, I think you need to abstain for this.
I will abstain.
Would somebody like to make that motion?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Greg. Dave, any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And I'll
And
abstain.
one abstention, okay. The 2024 financial report, Carol has finalized the IDA's financial report, and it has been sent to Weston Company to start the audit. They've come back with a few questions, but we have answered them, so they continue to work on that. The 2024 IDA Board Performance Questionnaire, you completed this during your November and December meetings. The tally is attached to your agenda. Yep. Okay. I will note that in looking at the previous years, the 2023 performance questionnaire, the one item in the middle, the board knows the statutory obligations of the IDA. And if the IDA is in compliance with the state law, you had the same tally last year. I know that, during the board trainings, oftentimes Mr. Mraz would have trainings specific to that. I don't know if there's anything else that, moving forward that we would need to include to satisfy that requirement. If you have any suggestions, please let me know. Otherwise, very good performance questionnaire. Any questions or comments on that? No? Okay. Would somebody like to entertain a motion to authorize myself to post the summary of the IDA Board Performance Questionnaire on the website and include the annual report?
I'll make that motion.
Mike, okay. Second, Sue. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carried. The 2024 performance and measurement report is also attached to your agenda. Pretty much the exact same as it was last year, I believe. This is also a requirement for you to do. You can see your mission statement has not changed. You did in the past create the tagline. In 2023, we incentivize development opportunities. Nothing really else has changed from the last time, as I understand it. Are there any questions on the performance and measurement report? Additions or deletions? Somebody entertain a motion to authorize Sue to sign this report, and for myself to post the report on the IDA's website and include in the annual report.
Make that motion.
Second.
Joan, Dave, any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried.
I know that we talked previous meetings that there was potential new legislation, but I believe the governor vetoed it. Correct? Yeah.
Mhm.
As saying that the school.
Yeah.
The school and union.
School or union.
We did pass one new piece of legislation that expands the criteria that a board can consider when you're when you're looking at a project, and it's whether it's to the extent the project provides childcare for the employees at the site, at the facility. It's just another piece of criteria that the board can consider when reviewing an application, so it's just an addition. But that other one was vetoed, yeah.
Next item is the 2024 assessment of the effectiveness of the IDA's internal financial control system. You reviewed this at your December 10th meeting and found it to be acceptable. And the proposed 2024 certification statement reads, the IDA board has documented and assessed the internal financial control system of the Fulton County Industrial Development Agency for the year ending December 31, 2024. The IDA board has determined that the existing internal financial controls are acceptable. Somebody like to make a motion to adopt this certification statement?
I'll make that motion.
Greg?
I'll second.
Mike? Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Center for Regional Growth membership. You would maintain the gold membership. Back in 2016, the CRG revised this membership a few years ago to a tier level. Last year, you were the tier 3 member at a $1,000 rate. I'm recommending that you continue to renew at the tier 3 level for the $1,000, and that's included in your budget.
I'll make the motion for $1,000.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carried. Setting of your 2025 goals. See in your agenda, the listing of your 2024 goals. To continue board training, receive a liaison from the Board of Supervisors, find shovel-ready sites, market Crossroads Business Park for housing, participate in the county's economic development strategy, hire a grant writer to obtain grants, and hold a meeting between the CRG and the IDA board. I think that you accomplished every one of those, minus maybe the grant writer. So looking for some ideas, thoughts on 2025 goals. In my email to you, I did suggest a few of them that we could discuss further. Nobody commented on those. Continuing the training, I think is a good thing to do, but I would add to also include executive director training. Something that I have an interest in doing. Several years ago, I attended the IDA Academy. I thought it was very beneficial. I would like to do that again. So it's a suggestion that I have. Another suggestion would be to continue to maintain a presence at the Brownfield Developer Summit. I think that's a good thing to do and pay attention to. For sure, I think that one of the goals should be is to commence the implementation of the county's new development strategy, which we all looked at during last month. And it's building Fulton County's future, housing, tourism, and economic growth. And there are a few projects in there specific to the IDA in regards to the roundabout housing hub that we discussed, I think last month, as well as commencing the Tryon residential incubator site and continuing to try to demolish remaining buildings at Tryon, as well as looking for power there. Another goal could be to start a refresh to the IDA's website. Guess I'll look for feedback if maybe.
So, Betsy had mentioned that there's some website like competition going on between ours and other county websites. So I'd like to maybe make a goal, having Betsy look at our site and see if we can remove any duplicate links or things that would lead to competition between our website and our other websites.
What do you mean competition?
When someone types into a Google search certain key phrases, it may lead them to our site instead of, say, going to 44 Lakes or something like that, because on our website, we also mention 44 Lakes. So there's just some competing things on ours, on the CRG's website, on, just a lot of.
Tendency that's pulling traffic away from intended destinations,
Yes.
basically. Okay.
I'd like to rephrase that goal is to fit in with what we've been trying to accomplish with the CRG and the chamber. So,
The shared toolbox.
yeah, so
Working.
if we ultimately decide that that's not the direction we want to go, we haven't made that decision yet, then yeah, I think a refresh is a good part of that. But I think the more laudable goal is to look at how we can better work together and better draw traffic in. However, and that's what Betsy, I think, was trying to get us toward.
Mhm.
Is that fair, Sue?
Okay.
Scott, you talked about the county economic development plan.
Mhm.
And the areas that the IDA was identified as being part of or responsible for. I think on our goals, we should probably break those out separately.
Yeah, I can definitely do
As
that. Yeah.
individual.
Yep, individual. Yep, can definitely do that.
I think I view getting additional power as a critical component to developing Tryon and other sites.
Right. Yep. I mean, there's obviously lofty goals in the development strategy for the IDA to undertake. That would be big. Another, during your last, or for this last year, find shovel-ready sites. We did quite a thorough analysis of finding shovel-ready sites last year. Maybe one idea would be to look at sites that, currently have utilities, power, the roads are already there, water, sewer, et cetera. And maybe looking at more internally within the cities and the villages. And it could be either for, light industrial or housing, right? Obviously, housing is the big thing that we've been talking about for some time. So maybe one of the goals is to take a little bit harder look in the cities and the villages. As an idea.
That's smaller pieces.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yep.
Something that was existing, maybe, look at it to repurpose it, things like that.
Well, it's the other side of the coin of, not having enough power available for large greenfield developments. At least none that we've been able to rely on as opportunities. I think that means there has to be some effort to find what already exists and prep those sites for redevelopment in responsible ways in conformance with our community's zoning goals.
Any other thoughts on potential goals?
I would like to make a goal for us, to be for our board members to attend one meeting in the next calendar year, in this calendar year of the CRG and of the, chamber. Just one, you have 12 months to get that under your belt. And I'm leading by example. I went to the chamber meeting this month. And I know like we already have our rotation for the CRG, so that box is checked. So it's an easy goal. But maybe attend a chamber meeting too.
Any chance you can get us a schedule for both
Mhm.
for the whole year?
Yep.
And I would encourage the CRG to maybe do something similar.
Sure, thank you.
And the chamber meets 8 o'clock?
Yes,
Yeah, okay. I forget what day, but yeah.
8 a.m. on Thursday, that the first Thursday of the month?
Thursday.
First Thursday of the month, 8 a.m.
They meet at the Allen House?
Allen House.
Oh.
Yes, business after hours don't count.
Well, so Ann did at the January meeting give like a list of all of the various things that the chamber's got going on. I can scan it and send it to you guys if you want. They got a lot going on. Like the next day on that Friday, they had like meet your new legislators. I couldn't attend. I was a little bummed about that, but they got a lot of good stuff going on.
Business after hours there, Thursday at the center.
We don't have enough time for the politicians to eat speak Friday.
Were you able to?
I was able to attend.
Good.
And posed questions and gave them 3 minutes, 2 to 3 minutes to answer, and politician can't answer in 2 to 3 minutes. Or at least a state level politician can't answer in 2 to 3 minutes.
Okay, well, I will assemble those goals. I'll send them, I'll circulate them around, make sure I captured those accurately.
Can I suggest something?
Yes.
Not a goal necessarily, but a more of a procedural thing that is one of the goals you have. Is I don't know if maybe there's a word, it's important to reinforce it in their set of goals. But I would like to see all our boards that are working on economic development and growth and housing and so forth actually use the dashboard reporting system that the county commissioned as part of the economic development strategy. I think it's, if we all use it and we all are commenting and relating to it and following it along and updating it, each board, CRG, Board of Supervisors, probably E&E committee primarily, but the whole board and this body, I think we're all going to be using it as policymakers and promoters, looking at the same material and in a quick. The goal is to have it so that we can look at it, understand the status of something and move on. We all know how it is. You get bogged down if you have to do a 2-hour, 2-hour textual reading of where things were and how did the project go. But the whole goal of what we added, I've been a big believer in this we wanted to do it in the last economic development strategy. Didn't really incorporate it, but now we'll put pressure on Scott, but our contractor, his consultant is turning over an actual dashboard reporting system that looks to be quite powerful, although straightforward. I think Scott and the planning department are pretty much going to be responsible for presenting that either monthly or every other month practically to the E&E committee, even if there's not a lot of activity. I feel very strongly about that. So it's not a new goal, but maybe that is part of how you guys approach updates and studying the goals and making suggestions for.
So I
monitoring.
got the presentation when the consultant showed that. Is that something that we're gonna be able to see publicly, or is that an internal
Oh, no, I know, the goal, you mean the status of it now, or you mean as we use it?
As you use it.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, so that's
No, the whole-
a link off the.
The whole plan is to have their live data, more or less right up to the day before, as to what progress is on a project. And if you guys look at something and go, wow, I'm making this up, but the speedometer says we've really been moving fast on this project. But that one was near and dear to the IDA's heart when we started, and it's, a year later, it hasn't moved off the starting blocks. I just think it's gonna be a way that policymakers and board members like this, it's just gonna be a much more powerful way for us all to make progress and monitor progress and kick somebody and, kickstart things if they're not moving.
Are you suggesting that be a standing agenda item that we physically call
I can
that
tell you
out?
guys how to do your business. that
I'm
way.
just trying to
I am
understand that's the
suggesting that,
intention
yes.
of how it works, is that it's.
And I was just talking about this with the I don't want to take too much of your time today, folks, but I was just talking about this with our new E&E committee chairman, because that's how I feel we should be handling it there. There may be months where that dashboard is pulled up for all of you, and you look at it and you say, and Scott or whoever's introducing this says, we really don't have a lot of new info on, so we're not going to bear down into each project, but the summary dashboard tells us where we are on this and this, pretty much same as last month. We've made a little bit of progress, but not a lot to report. That might be all you do that month with it.
Mhm.
The next month, 2 or 3 things may have occurred, major milestones. Then you're gonna break down and go into other pages of that dashboard report and look at the individual projects maybe that are, especially the ones that, IDA wants to ask more about, know more about, invest in. And I just think if we all use that dashboard, I think it's gonna be very powerful as a monitoring progress. I felt the last economic development strategy suffered from not a good compelling mechanism to do that.
So who's responsible for inputting that data? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we haven't received it from the MRB group yet. I'm supposed to receive it this week because I will do the first presentation of at least what the look and feel is and, kind of how to use it, at the next ED&E committee meeting. I'll do the same. I'll have an agenda item for you so we can see that. What I haven't been able to determine yet is, will I be able to assign, say, for instance, Ron or Ken, one of their projects where they can do their own update. But it'll all be one standalone live software, more or less, and reporting that everyone will be able to see.
How frequently were you anticipate updating it? Monthly, weekly?
I would say as much as possible. I mean,
As you-
I'd rather update continuously, small
Uh-huh.
little milestones than trying to remember what I did for the past month, right? So it could be, as an example, hiring an engineering firm to do a feasibility study on a site, one of the sites that we do. And it's not all, it's also, it doesn't have to be just used for the projects and initiatives in the development strategy. It can be used for any projects that, whether the IDA undertakes, CRG undertakes, planning undertakes. So it's not just for those projects, so. But more to learn on it. Like I said, I haven't actually been able to sit down and navigate it yet. But once I do, it'll be pretty routine update.
Who is appointed the ED&E chair this year?
I'm sorry,
Who's the supervisor, the ED&E chair this year?
Chairman?
Yeah.
Mr. Blackman.
It's Black.
Okay, thanks for that, John. It's good suggestion.
What's a goal? It may take us all till June or July to fully use it.
Well,
That's why it's a goal, not necessarily a accomplishment.
Yeah, I hear it, so. All right, moving on, 2024 ST 340 forms. As I think any company receiving sales tax benefits from the IDA is required to file a said form with the New York State Department of Taxation and Finance. And you'll see attached, Vero Health has filed their ST 340 form. Let's see. Where they note that they assumed $126,039 of sales tax exemptions for the period ending December 31, 2024. In regards to the Vero Health project, back in 2021, You did authorize those sales tax exemptions be provided. And you'll note that back then, their original project was estimated at $55 million. That project was revised upwards to $77,465,000 and some change. The original cost subjects to the sales tax was $28 million. And though that revised was up to $41 million. The total sales tax exemptions that you approved originally was $2,251,520. And that was revised upwards to $3,284,535. You can see over the course of that time, the amount of sales tax exemptions that Vireo utilized. In the bottom, there remains $376,569 of sales tax exemptions that you had approved that they have not used. So they have not exceeded what was originally approved by the IDA board, or revised approved by the IDA board. Any comments, questions in regards to the ST 340 form or the background of Vireo Health project in the agenda?
Just with the revised deadlines for using the exemptions, past the deadlines, they haven't asked for any further extensions. They do not intend to try to claim any more of this.
My knowledge, no.
Okay.
Fair.
Yeah, no.
Item N, Vireo sales tax exemptions, kind of continuing down with this project, the original construction project, 324,000 square feet. As we just noted, the original investment was 55 million. They far exceeded that, but they also, as part of the application that you approved, they were going to create 120 new jobs as part of that application. Clearly, they've invested much more than was approved. However, they have not created the 120 new jobs. So that is obviously something that the IDA board needs to monitor. And with that being said, Vireo was asked to submit a plan and a schedule for you to react to in regards to their job counts. And that is also attached to your agenda. Vireo has provided an explanation as to the delay in completing their project based upon the state's adult use cannabis licensing process that was delayed. They also indicate that the impacts from the Vireo Health Verano acquisition and termination was a delay. As well as increased costs of materials, et cetera. And you'll see that in regards to the creation of the 120 new jobs, the schedule that they are committing to, because I look at this as they are committing to doing this, is they have created 10 new positions. One is a facilities director and 9 union technician roles. Those 10 new positions are included in the 68 total positions that Vireo has created for both the medical side as well as the Project Bluebird, which is the adult use. Vireo has indicated that their total new positions as of this June in 2025, they will have created 68 total positions to include 6 managerial roles, 60 union tech roles, and 2 inventory staff roles. And then by December of 2025, there'll be up to 85 new positions. You'll see the breakout there. And then they are estimating that June 2026, they will reach their 120 new positions. That will include 8 managerial, 110 union technician roles, as well as 2 inventory staff roles. So that is the report that Vireo is providing to you to react to. As you have to do your due diligence to make sure that what they said they were going to do as part of your project application, that they will do. Comments, questions?
Quick question. They're saying right now the 68, they're basically saying that is the number because they're including employees, so they haven't created any, they've only created 10
10.
for this.
Correct.
For this project, yes.
So from June of 25, are they saying we've hit the 68, or is this, are they adding more to the?
We're saying by June, they'll be up to the 68, is it, that's what it
Not
is, 60.
counting the previous stuff, they're gonna have.
Well, it'll be the 10 plus 58 new hires by June. And then, yeah, we read it the same way. It's like a little confusing.
Even though they currently have 68, that's kind of just a coincidental number that it's the same number that they'll have by June.
Yeah, yes, I guess.
Okay.
It's coincidentally the same figure.
If they're going-
So it sounds like some of their staff are working, there's some employees that are working for both.
Right.
And so they have a split shift schedule, but what they're saying is we've only created 10 for Project Bluebird, which is what they call the new facility.
So they're saying they're gonna add another 50.
Another 58 by June,
So
and then another, whatever,
up to 85 and then 120.
yeah.
And are they by any chance cutting any jobs with their plans to get rid of the greenhouses?
That I do not.
I have not heard that. Jim, can you hear me?
No, they've not indicated that. They are gonna shut down the greenhouses, but they're still gonna be using the facility and still be producing medical medicines from
Mhm.
medical marijuana. Yeah.
Right. Just, yeah, indoors rather than outdoors.
Right.
Because of the
I just
costs
didn't know if
associated.
there'd be any job loss.
I think you said last time indoor was more efficient for them to grow.
The growing is they're gonna move it all indoors, and it's more
Mhm.
efficient, and it produces a better product.
Right.
But they'll still be manufacturing the same amount of medicines.
So what are they gonna do with the greenhouses?
Parkers will buy them.
I don't know.
Tomatoes.
So back to this.
Yep.
So it's great they have something in mind because again, we can't just offer benefits if someone doesn't do what they say they're supposed to do. It's great that we have the investment, but I would say come the end of June 30th of 2025, we have to have an accurate that this is the count. If not, we could say we have the ability to then say we need to recapture this because they're the ones that would put this on paper.
Mhm.
We're not. So I don't want to wait till June of 2026 to see
Mhm.
we didn't have the 120.
Mhm.
We've done this a couple different times and it's kind of hasn't been right. So I just think that we're fine with their structure, but come June 30th, 2025, we have to show that.
Right, that's been the understanding with our discussions with them is that we've requested this information for you to review and to make a determination because right now they haven't fulfilled their obligation. They fulfilled the investment piece, but they haven't filled the job creation piece, which is what you based your approval on previously. So we've said to them, we need a realistic approach as to what you think these job counts are going to be for the board to determine, for the board to consider and accept or not accept. And then as we hit these milestones, we'll have a chance to reevaluate the information. So if they come in June and say, okay, we created 50 jobs, not, this is why, you'll have the ability to then say, okay, that's fine, but let us know the next benchmark. Or if you're not comfortable with it, then you could say, okay, well, we'd like to commence the recapture process.
That was my question is how many opportunities do we have to initiate that recapture process?
You have the full discretion until they either meet their requirements. Once they've met their requirements that you've agreed to, then they've met the requirements. But up until that point, you have discretion. I mean, I would say between now and June, if you accept this proposal, between now and June, you really don't have much, ability to claw back if you're gonna agree to give them that time frame. But then come June, if they haven't met that threshold, then you would have another opportunity. The process for them, for you to seek recapture is to commence it, approve to move forward with the recapture. And then they get an opportunity to explain and an opportunity to come to the meeting and explain to the board members why they didn't fulfill the requirements. And then you again have discretion as to how to proceed. But it's important for the IDA to make sure we're monitoring this because there is the mandatory recapture on sales tax that's set out in state law if we haven't agreed to some other sort of monitoring, so to speak.
So I would say I would be fine with it, but we would have this discussion at our July meeting again, the board meeting, but having all the up-to-date figures.
Right, so we'll require them by June 30th of 2025 to provide us with a report on the job creation, the
Yep.
progress.
Mhm.
Whether they meet it or not, but then at your next meeting after that, I'll bring that back to you and then we'll have a discussion.
They've also indicated that they'll keep in contact with us. We've been having regularly scheduled meetings with them up until now. So they've agreed to continue to have those updates as to where they're at. So, it won't be nothing until June. We'll try.
So is recapture an all or nothing?
Well, with sales tax, it's an all.
Okay.
And the law is vague as to what extent the IDA needs to go down to try to recapture that amount. So it's questionable, is it enough to send a letter and demand payment? Does the law require you to file a lawsuit against them to seek recapture? All those things are very vague in the law as far as what the requirements are on the IDA.
Okay. So we couldn't say, well, you promised 120 jobs and you only came through with half of that, so we want half the sales tax back.
I don't think so, because the law is very specific that it's the sales tax is not discretionary piece. If they had a pilot, then we could say certain, we could modify that.
Okay.
But with the sales tax, and then we'd have to report to tax and finance. I mean, I've only had to do this twice. Once was with a project here, and ultimately the tax and finance department agreed with the company's letter and they were not required to pay sales tax. In the other one, the company overtook in excess, and they just said it was a couple $100, so they just said, okay, we'll pay the tax. So I've not really gone down this path except the one time where and tax and finance, they said, okay, fine. Well, so they didn't have to pay anything, so.
Okay. Well, at least they have a plan for the jobs, and if
I don't think this company would have the same argument, but
I mean, in their defense, they have been slowed down that the state hasn't come forward with the Office of Cannabis Management hasn't laid out the operating policies and procedures in full.
They've received $2.5 million or whatever it is. Those things. Okay. Deal.
Any further comments, questions? So entertain a motion to accept Virio's plan and schedule of creating 120 new jobs and to require that Virio report to the IDA on actual job creation as of June 30th, 2025, and December 31, 2025, and June 30th, 2026.
I'll make a motion.
Sue, second?
Yes.
Joe? Any further discussion?
So with the benchmarks, let's say they reach the benchmarks. Is there a minimum time they have to keep that employment level
Of the 120?
of the 120? Like, we get to that third benchmark, they reach 120. We say, okay, great, you met your benchmark, we're done looking at it, and then a week later, they lay everybody off.
Yeah, so that would be like a substantial change in the company operations from what we otherwise approved. So that would get us right back into the recapture policy if we did something along
Okay,
those
so
lines.
what kind of duration do we have after they met their benchmark, or we're no longer?
I think their agreement is in effect, I want to say it's 10 years.
10 years?
Yeah, it was the term of the recapture. I'm
Okay.
almost positive, but I'll double check that and let you know.
Right.
I'm pretty sure it was for the term, because our recapture is a 10-year term
Okay,
to monitor, so.
Okay.
But if they went down to 119 new jobs, that would trigger the.
I mean, I don't know that that would be considered substantially changed.
yes.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, I mean,
Down to 25, then you say.
It's not to prevent them from operating effectively and managing what they've got to manage, and they can't always dictate the terms of their employment if people just suddenly leave for whatever reason. I just want to make sure that, you know, we don't say yay as of that particular milestone date, and then
They announce layoffs.
right, right, you know, or not even announce it, they just do it,
Yeah.
and then, you know, we've lost our.
you have them you have them reporting on an annual basis and, yeah, until we terminate their agreement with them, they would report annually to the.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
Better get that training program rolling there, Doc. If they're gonna hire that many people.
We work with them now.
Yeah, they did say that they do. Yep.
One of our most popular programs right now.
Everybody thinks we're getting free weed.
Yeah.
The research arm of the.
Lab work.
R&D, right now you have to be 21 to be in the program, which is a popular thing.
Hmm.
Yeah.
All right, moving on, update on the Winstanley Enterprises project. You'll see the progress that has been made. Back in 2021, you executed a purchase and sale agreement with Winstanley to purchase all the 240 acres. In 2022, you executed amendment number 1 to reduce the purchase price. December of 2022, you executed amendment number 2 to extend the due diligence completion date out. In January of 23, you executed amendment number 3 to convert the purchase and sale agreement in a 3-year option agreement, which would expire February 28th, 2026. And then in December, you executed amendment number 4, which reduced that annual payment, which I believe it was from $100,000 to $25,000. But you also was agreed that Winstanley would return the Tryon domain names back to the IDA if Winstanley decided not to renew the option agreement. And speaking with Adam Winstanley and Jim as well at that time, Winstanley is set to extend their option agreement through February 28th of 2029. I think this is a good move. They bring a lot to the table with their marketing. They will continue to maintain the $25,000 a year option, but just extending it out through 2029.
And that's growing.
Yes.
Yep. Everything would stay the same.
It's not nothing.
Oh, that's a good, yeah, that sounds fantastic. That's a good Joe Gillis. Question, right? If he was here, he'd be.
Yep, the mowing, right.
In the fire taxes,
What's that?
in the fire taxes.
Yeah, we're getting there, right?
So, no, their taxes. So just along with paying for the mowing, they have to obviously, they'll be agreeing to the 25,000, and
Mhm.
this is contingent on them, obviously. We have their 25,000 in 2025. Okay. Okay.
Would somebody like to make the motion to authorize the chairman to execute amendment number 5, Will and Stanley?
I'll make that motion.
Dave,
I'll second.
your second, Mike. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right.
Dan, you can.
Under the other business, fire tax bills. The IDA owns land on the east side of 38. And in the Tryon Technology Park located in the town of Johnstown. We're not exempt from paying fire taxes. One property, 174,265, in the town of Johnstown, the east side of 38, it's $47.89. And then one property in the Tryon Technology Park, the larger property, $656. There was a second property in Tryon Technology Park, but that was deeded over to Fulton County Sewer District 4. So we don't have to pay that fire tax any longer. So. Looking for a motion to authorize the payment of these two town of Johnstown fire taxes.
I'll make that motion.
Greg? A second?
Second.
Joe? Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Johnstown bill.
Board training, for this month, of the duties and responsibilities of IDA board members for section 2824 of the Public Authorities Law and included within the IDA's bylaws. You execute direct oversight, over the executive director, chief financial officer, legal counsel, auditor, etc. You understand, review, and monitor the implementation of fundamental financial and management controls, which you also adopt every year. You establish the policies regarding salaries, compensations, or reimbursements. You'll note that those are all adopted. And you'll see item E, the list of the policies that you have adopted and the dates that you did so. Likewise, each of you takes an oath of office to execute an acknowledgement that is prescribed by the authority's budget office, etc. So.
Some point this year, review the policies that haven't been reviewed and adopted
Okay.
or amended since 2008. Just as a starting point, we have to get some of them have been done more recently, but a bunch of them haven't been amended since 2008.
Okay.
Might be a good time to just take a look at those. They might be fine, might be perfect, but it's a long time.
Yep.
And it might be a good spot, good topic for our full training component is to do a policy review through the year and maybe make that a goal.
It would be good for me to do anyway, Greg. I shall do that. I do not have a specific reason to go on executive session. I know, Joe, I can hear Joe's stomach growl. Any further business?
This comment again. Well, Jim for the wonderful job that he did. I certainly appreciate it.
The decades of service.
Yes.
Did you just get bored?
Don't
You just
rub
miss
it in
it?
decades.
We just had
Did you just get bored, miss it, want to come tonight?
Yes.
No, I asked that he attend.
Yeah.
I asked, what do you want?
No.
Yes, so I will be here.
Last time I saw Jim was December 31st. In the office, and he went back saying. To this day, I can't believe it.
Just muscle memory.
He's in it now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Scott's taking over the office and I'm in a cubicle back in the corner.
Is that where it all began for you?
No, that office, when I moved here, that's.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I've been in that since 1984.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
You're right, graduated.
When we first started here, we were down in the bowels of the basement.
Gotcha.
Yeah, the sheriff's department used to be here.
Yeah.
And we moved them out and we came up here and OFA actually came in downstairs originally, but they outgrew that space and they went down to the Hampshire building and we brought personnel in here, so.
Gotcha.
It used to be a women's cell block. Used to be cells in here.
Wow.
No,
Now this is your,
4 foot thick.
Well, we continue that discussion in a short time.
Years, so.
Somebody like to close the meeting if I. Somebody like a second.
I'll second.
No respect.
No respect.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I just figured it needed to come from the peanut gallery, right?
Thanks, Dan.
Question. Thought maybe Dan was better.
Take care.
Bye, guys. Enjoy dinner.
What? Bye now.
Yeah.